I think it's based on my personal technical training background, as well my entrepreneurship experience, as well some years of my investment experience by selecting different kinds of business models. I see through that people's learning in a natural way, in a relevant way, is very important and based on people's sharing, because they know what kind of information they want to share is based on their value judgment. So I think that since those blogging stuffs then evolved into Web 2.0 stuff and now social networking stuff, we see through all the processes our people's driven force came from power. We didn't define it before. That's why I try to find a very exact term to define it. I call it shareism since 2008, but I didn't really realize the philosophical meaning and economic meaning until last year when I tried to define it into a book. I studied more about the historical achievement of human beings on economics and philosophy. So I found that we need such kind of philosophy as well. I think it's something we can see that if we have a better capitalism, based on this hypothesis, we can set up some new social norms and try to get back our, human nature, try to back our, capability of forming our society. We can define something new based on the establishing of social networks, based on trust and the new identities. So if we can do something better, why not we trying to evolve the existing, problems from the problems, of capitalism? That's something is very naturally happened. I think it's very much internet-based. All shareism is totally based on the technological improvements of our human being, because it matters because of the speed of sharing. And people see through the sharing feedbacks possible in their lifelong cycle. Otherwise, traditionally, we want to do something better, ideal, like even communism want to realize some ideal word, but we cannot see that. It's a problem. It's not practical or realistic. However, shareism want to give people the instant return. When you want to share, you see through how the social networks respond to you, and then you can see the returns either mentally or physically. So I want to define it in a speed game. It's not something based on the traditional post office based information sharing. It's definitely based on the global internet infrastructure. After the diversification of socialism and capitalism, and as well the industrial revolution, people started to focus on how to make profit maximized, and this kind of process actually setting up a lot of rules that people try to curb the knowledge to be shared because they want to dominate the knowledge. Some people want to, hold the privilege to their maybe creations based on other people's creations, but they claim it's their own, independent creations. So this kind of rule setting, protect the industry age and protect the capitalism, free market, etc. But it could be a question. Will it be sustainable to the modern age, especially after the internet become a status quo of our society, becoming a new nerve to connect all the people? It's very different between communism and shareism, because communism, they want to collect people's properties and their wealth together and distribute based on few minorities' intentions. However, shareism is totally based on individualism. What I call, is a kind of sharing based on your intentions, based on your consensus. Nobody can seize it by their intentions. So it's is very much individualized. And the society based on shareism connect to each other, worked like an intelligent system and an ideal system. And we are going toward this kind of ideal society, but it's all totally based on the self-organizing. I wish it can be an emergent democracy norm and structure, because we expect all the people share those their opinions and stands all the time to challenge the current, crippled democratic system. And just by voting, we need people's always contribution and their elaboration on the social affairs to try to push the policymakers to be more diligent to work for us. I believe the neuron activity from the natural selection and natural evolving give us a lot of hints on the future of our society. We don't need to control all the things based on the neuronology theories, but we definitely need some kind of co-working and co-thinking mechanisms. This can be evolved from the current. It's very promising possibility. We can see through the social brain is emerging, or even better, social intelligence can be evolved. If you share more, you can gain more, from the social networks, from the connections to the world, and your voices could be amplified. Your ideas, your experiences, your sufferings will be all amplified through the network. So this kind of return, when it came back to you, will be much more amplified than the original, information you shared out. So I think it's a kind of possibility that people want to get some support from the surroundings. They can get a better feedback from that. That gives people a lot of confidence to live in the world instead of isolating himself from the world. That's much more promising scenario for everyone of us. If we want to seek the power, we don't need to chase for those magical ways. We can just simply go into the social network and try to establish my own credibility and keep sharing. And then someday, if we met some problems, it can give me a lot of power back. When someone in China, as an activist, he was found missing, or he shared something online that he was in trouble with the local police or authority, some other people will go surround him either physically or virtually online to support him, or call the local police station, or call his family members to show their support. This kind of surroundings give people, at least to the activists around the world, give them a lot of protections. It's a kind of peer protection from the people with the similar sentiment to support you. It's much more important for people with those very proactive, intentions, or maybe good wills to realize and keep surviving in the society. We need this kind of power. I don't believe it could happen without those recent years of new media development, because people inside one country with the sovereign, borders, it's very hard to be heard by the global people in the traditional world. However, we have a lot of new tools now to spread the information, to see through the whole society and resonate through the global social media, internet with different languages, but the same sentiment go back to the internal affairs, then cause people's more, gathering and of power, or eventually military, rallies between each other. So I think it's not just something magically happening. It's really something based on the new technologies. Mm-hmm. I think the company is going to change from the profit as center to the social responsibility as center. At the same time, the social responsibility give them more opportunities to generate profit. So it's the paradigm change. I mean, the center switch from the profit to the social things. Also, the society, if more and more business adopted shareism, they can benefit from people sharing to help them improve their product, to find new ideas easily, and they can create new products and services and serve more people without paying a lot of money on marketing budget, because they can easily find the path to promote their products and services with the social network when people would love to share their products. We need kind of rethinking about the mission of universities and the schools, how to define their missions, to serve our learners, because I would rather say that learning by sharing is not the knowledge transmitting at all, because it can be a collective resource base, of knowledge. But I think the real learning happened when people really, need that, really, think is relevant to their life and their, requirements. So I think if we can just use sharing, ecosystem to try to find people, because I always say that shareism give people the chance to match their requirements with their, with the right suppliers. So the information has the same theory. If the learners want to learn something just for their requirements or just in time, they would learn better, and their sharing of knowledge will generate returns and be rewarded. They would love to share more, and other people will absorb more as well. And this kind of cycle happened in a group of people. It's just what the school and university should try to facilitate. So I believe that the more connected, we have, the more possibility we respect other people and other cultures to keep it surviving all the time. And maybe we see through the world, we can see someday more people for non-Chinese speak Chinese, more people non-Catalonian speak Catalonian. This could happen because of the sharing, and people see through the different values of different cultures. And that's a kind of ground peace. Frankly, I will speak frankly, and I'm here because of the openness of the university. I think it's very open-minded, invitation to me, because I'm very busy writing my book now. I did refuse a lot of invitations from other organizations talking about these things, or even pay me for the consultancy things. I don't really have time this year. But I think to Open University, I love the concept first. I see through that this kind of concept could be easier for an educational system to evolve itself all the time. So I would love to appreciate this invitation again, and I would love to say that I will come back to see that Open University can evolve itself into next stage by adopting those shareism methodologies.